Hey guys, it's Chorn with a new game here called Kerbal Space Program. If you don't know what this is, it's a game where you can build your own rocket ships and launch them. And there's probably a big chance you can explode them. And you can also land on different planets like the moon and Mars and many things. Super cool. So we're gonna start this new series here. Gonna start a new game.
A few moments later.
Let's do this. So we name it, choose a mode. I prefer sandbox. And now we can choose our flag, our mission flag. I'm gonna do a NASA flag. And let's start. You can also do different difficulties, but normal's fine enough. We've already got the birds chirping. Welcome to the Space Center. Got Gene Kerman here. So the most important parts of this, honestly, this whole in Kerbal in Sandbox, you don't really need the R&D facility. Honestly, you can't do it because it's closed. But the tracking station, you can see where all of your rockets are. The administration building, where you can hire new astronauts. Space plane hangar, you can make airplanes and you can launch them on the runway. Then the vehicle assembly building is in all space centers and agencies, like NASA even has one. You can't launch a rocket without this place. And on the launch pad is where you launch them. So let's build a rocket. So Werner von Kerman we are greeted with here. Now we have a blank area here and we've got pods, fuel tanks, engines, command and control, all of the usual stuff you would see in a rocket. So first we have to start with a pod. Let's start with the original Mk1 pod. Now, if we want to use a liquid fuel engine, we could do fuel tanks, but there are solid fuel engines here that don't need a fuel tank. So, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna add a fuel tank just in case. So, if you want to use a fuel tank with liquid fuel, you'll have to turn up your throttle before launch, but I'll show you when we get there. So if I want to add like a bigger body here, there are some adapters that you can use. For more space and stuff. Let's see if this will work. No, that's too big. Actually, this might work better. So we can add some smaller boosters here. The big thing about this game is there's a lot of failing involved, so be prepared to fail. And also the cool thing is finding new parts that fit and see what works and doesn't work. It's pretty fun. And now lastly, we have to add an engine or else this thing won't work. So I'm gonna add this engine here. And when we want to land, we want this thing to land safely and slowly. So right here is where we're gonna put our parachute. So we go to utility, and these three things right here are parachutes for the pod. These are radial mount parachutes and drag chutes for different kinds of landings. So right now I'm gonna put this MK16 parachute on the nose of this pod. And now this will safely land this. So in most rockets, most stages you can separate multiple stages. So right now, all we have is this one engine and then this parachute. But this parachute is only made to land this tiny pod here, not to land this entire huge rocket here. So we need to add some separators. So we go to coupling here. We can look at different stages we want to separate. So I'm gonna make these green things that I'm highlighting a separate stage. So we move this over here. Now we look at these stack decouplers, or these ring ones, and we can do whatever we want with them. We can put them wherever we want. Okay, you can see here I just added a decoupler. So we're gonna make a new stage to separate this as a different part. So now over here we probably want another engine. So why not put this thing here? And you can see it automatically just covered it up. So when we separate, it'll expose the engine that's in here. So once that happens, I'm gonna want to separate here. So we're gonna add another, hold on, first we need to add a decoupler. And now we'll add our next engine. Wait, no, let's leave the decoupler here. We'll want to put the engine on first, or else we'll cut off the entire engine before we use it. So now I'll want to separate this if I wanted to. So I'll add a smaller engine and a smaller decoupler. So now that's covered. And now lastly, we want to separate this pod. This, we can just add a decoupler here. Whoa, this is too big. Perfect. So we can just add its own decoupler here. And if we want this to work, we need to control this. So I don't really know where to find it, but you can search remote, and that seemed to work for me. This remote guidance unit fits. The RC001S remote guidance unit, that is what I picked. So now it looks like we're all set. So first we'll turn on these engines, and then when we separate this, we'll want to turn on the engine here. So we'll put those in a separate stage. Then when we separate this, let's move this after. When we separate this, we'll want this engine to go up. So then when we separate this, we'll want this engine to go off. And then lastly, we'll have this engine go out. No, we'll have this decoupler, not an engine. and then we'll deploy the parachute. So now all we have to do is give it a name. I'm gonna call it the Chorn rocket. Why not? So now we can save this and launch it.
2,000 years later.
So here we've got our rocket, and we'll turn up the throttle by holding shift so these engines won't work. And every time you press space, it'll launch the rocket and start the next stage. So once we have the throttle up, we press space to launch this. Right now we have Jebediah Kerman here. Good luck.
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
And our rocket is now in the air. You can see how fast it's going right here and how high it is up here. Using the classic ASWD controls, you can turn it left and right, forward, backward. With Q and E, you can actually roll here. You can tone it. So that's a new control. So once over here, you can see how much fuel is left up in each engine. So once this runs out, I'm going to separate and start the new engine, which is right here. Okay, now it just cut off. So now we have our new engine right here. Zoom in a bit more. This is actually one of my new favorite video games. Uh-oh. No! No! Come on. Okay, that's better. This is gonna last a while, so I'm gonna time lapse through this. You know what? To keep this video going, I'm just gonna cut the engines early. So now we're on our last engine here. And oh no, we're out of control. But we are gonna want... Oh, and our engine is out. Oh shoot. Forgot to put a fuel tank there. So now we're on our final pod here. So we can use the
time warp setting to see how fast it can go. And I should have added a heat shield to this. The best part about this game is you get to see what went wrong, and you can see how to fix it.
Okay, so now we can turn it back to normal time. Alright, now the parachute is ready. We're facing down. This is not good. This is not good. No! Oh, we exploded. Catastrophic failure. This is not good. So let's go back to vehicle assembly. And I saw what happened here. So right here, I'm gonna take a look. This is the fuel tank. And this engine. That's weird. No, I'm just gonna get rid of the engine. No, I'm gonna get rid of this last engine here. So the best part about Kerbal is that you can literally do whatever you want. So we can go to thermal here, and if we want to add a heat shield, we can do that. It takes a while for me to find a heat shield the right size, and bam, it looks like we found one right here. Nice. So now we can add our separator. And it looks like we're good now. So maybe, since it was tilting in the beginning, we should add some fins. So let's go to aerodynamics, and let's find some wings. Here's a big S delta wing. Now by hitting X, it's a symmetry unit, so wherever you want to put it, it puts it on like the other sides too. So it's actually a pretty cool setting in Kerbal. So now as we go up, I'm gonna make these wings slightly smaller. Alright, now some smaller wings, small delta wing. Nah, I need smaller. There we go. So these look good. So let's save it and launch this.
6.5 hours later.
So now, let's put up the throttle. We are in the air with our new rocket design. If we want, we can press Control to make the throttle lower. So it's easier to control. Why not go even lower? But once we feel like it, we can go high. Time lapse through this. Actually, I'm gonna oh my gosh, it's going crazy. Alright. Once we're in orbit, I'm gonna switch over to the time warp. I'm gonna see if that works. You know what? Let's just do that. Crazy. Yes, it looks like this engine is really working. You know what? Let's separate because this is crazy. Oh, and there's our parachute. So that's already better than before. Looks like we're gonna have to make a water landing. now that the parachute is deployed, we wait. Or we can use special
technology to speed it up. Let's say your parachute is going to wait. There it is. There we go. Getting really close.
close. So we don't need a time lapse this. Got our NASA flag. And touchdown! Hey guys, it's Chorn Boy. I apologize for any random clicking or background noise. And I'm naming this new series A Rocket a Day. And I'm gonna make a bunch more of these. And I hope you liked the video. And I'll see you in the next one.